Hello, hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ragland, known as WuRag, and I'm so happy to be here with you all today. Hi, and thank you so very much for your time. I have a very special guest today. Her name is Karen Bashford, and she is here to share with us her story. She was married to two abusive men. Well, she wasn't married, but she was in a relationship with two of them. One married, the second one a long-term boyfriend, both 16 years both, and she overcame the abuse of both of those relationships. And at the age of 50, she discovered that both of her parents never told her that they loved her. So I'm going to welcome Miss Karen. Hi, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. And thank you for having me for this.
You are so welcome, Karen. Thank you so much for showing up and being here with us all today. So welcome. How are you feeling today?
Excited to be sharing. I want more women to realize that they don't have to keep repeating patterns of behavior.
I am so happy because that's why I have this show. Because I want people to know that too. You don't have to keep repeating the same patterns. So, what would you like to share with the audience, Karen? What's your message today for the audience?
My message is that as women, we deserve the best. And actually, we need to stop allowing other people to tell us what we can't do and instead believe that we can do what we want.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Women can do what they want. Absolutely. And everyone should know that. Everyone. I know that you're more to empower women, correct?
Yes.
And what I do is I empower men, women, and children. And I really do that. But I do notice that a lot of women need empowering.
Mm-hmm.
If you can accept that and take that in and run with that, you'll be fine. But if you don't accept it or you don't want it, you'll be where you are at, wherever you are.
Mm-hmm.
And know that you are a very powerful person if you haven't been told that. Know that you are powerful if you haven't been told that. But that's for you to accept. Most people, a lot of women won't even accept that.
Regretfully, no, they won't.
And there is a lot that don't know. So that's why we're here. So, Karen, thank you so much. What was your childhood like growing up? First, where are you from?
I'm from England. I was actually born in a place called Chelsea, which is just along on the River Thames. Um, you might know Westminster Abbey. Well, I didn't live far from there. So, yeah, give you an idea. Very middle class parents. They were working hard, supported myself, my brother, and my sister. Brother 3 years older, sister 8 years younger. I was the middle child. They gave me everything they could. They did their best for us. They weren't, how do we put it? They were just living life the best way that they could based on their circumstances. And they made sure we did well. So, yeah.
Good. So, you had siblings.
I had a brother who is 3 years older and a sister who's 8 years younger.
All right. So how was life growing up? How did you feel? What were your emotions like? Were you a happy child? Did you feel really loved by your parents and your siblings? Were you happy?
I was happy as far as happiness goes. I was very much a lonely child, simply because my brother being 3 years older, he went to school earlier than I did. My sister was 8 years younger, so I was that much older when she finally arrived. But my brother used to spoil me something rotten. All I had to do was to point, and whatever I pointed at, he would get for me. I was one of those children that actually didn't start walking or talking till I was about 18 months old
So
because I had
everybody
no
will-
need to. So yeah, but I
That's
had a
actually
happy
good.
childhood.
Yes.
I spent a lot of time reading once I was old enough to be on my own, but that wasn't a problem. I was just a very quiet, very introvert child.
Yes. Did you have a childhood friend? Did you have any friends when you
Not a childhood friend. As a teenager, I had a girl that lived opposite me, which was great. But as a child, no, I didn't have friends that often. No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
I was
So that's why you said
happy.
lonely.
Yeah, I was happy in that sense that, that was what life was, and be happy with what you've got.
Right. You said I learned that at a very young age. I know that's right. Yeah, because if you don't you don't miss what you don't have.
No, you don't.
Right. So you just it's just that's just how it is. You got siblings. So your parents, you grew up with your parents in London. How nice. So what was your teenage years like?
Interesting. As a teenager, my parents would often move around. My father didn't like being a responsible manager. He would much rather just be somebody who worked under somebody else. So as soon as he got any kind of promotion as an electrician, he would be looking for another job. So we were constantly moving around. So I was constantly moving schools. I would often arrive in a school halfway through term, so it was hard to make friends because obviously everyone had made their groups up, so it was tough. But yeah, it was what I had to put up with, so cope with it as best you can.
Right, that's all that you knew at that time. That's all.
Yeah.
Did you feel that you were middle class, or did you feel that you were poor? Did you want for anything? Did you
No,
Your
my
father would
parents
leave
were
the
British.
job, but he had money in order you never had to stay in motel rooms, hotel rooms. He always provided financially.
Yeah, for the family, yes, he was always, and if my father didn't do so, my mother certainly did. She would take on jobs to support the family as well. So yeah.
Right. She did design clothes, didn't she?
She was a dressmaker, so she used to work for quite well sort of known wedding houses and places like that. She was very, very good dressmaker. Very good.
Yes. Oh, yes. I can only imagine. So your father just was the type that he wasn't ambitious.
No.
He you tried to give him a promotion. Oh no. We're leaving. Pack up the bags. We're
Yeah.
moving. I'm not
Hmm.
taking on any kind of responsibilities. I'm not going to be an entrepreneur. I'm not going to I just want my family and I want to live a low, simple, just under the table type of
He didn't have much
radar
confidence.
life.
He was very good at what he did, but he just didn't have much confidence in himself.
Right. He lived a really low off the scale. Like he didn't want to be seen or even heard, basically.
No, no.
He was just very within an introvert,
Mhm. Yeah.
a
Mhm.
loner, shy. That's okay. And a lot of people choose to be that way for
Mhm.
some odd reason. Because we all were once that way. You and I were once that way,
Mhm.
where we kept away.
Mhm.
But in order to do what we do, we can't. We touch lives. So that's the
Yeah,
thing.
you
Yeah.
can't keep hiding away if you want somebody to know your story and to help them.
So you and your father total opposites.
Mhm.
You see, your mother, she was in the gift of giving. She designed things. She was giving to the world. She did things for people. People need
Mhm.
we need dresses. We need things of those, right? So we would go see her, the dress lady, the maker, the one that would
Mhm.
design the clothes and put them together. So she was probably that's where you get your personality from in that sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. All right. So your teenage years were pretty good. What about your
Sorry.
adulthood? Did you graduate from college?
I didn't graduate from college. I left school at 16. Um, I did do some extra studying, but nothing that produced any results that would class as qualifications. I just like studying. So
Yes.
yeah.
So
Mhm.
did you start a family right away? Did you get married? What was your story like there?
Um, I got married at 21. I met the guy at college. But interestingly, I realized on the wedding day that I didn't want to marry him.
Karen. So what took place?
Well, I went to the hairdressers and I was sitting in the hairdressers thinking, why am I doing this? What am I doing? And I deliberately dawdled home from the hairdressers. I arrived literally half an hour left to get dressed and get to the church. That's how desperate I was trying not to get married.
Karen, what made you change your mind? Did you know the whole time?
I think deep down inside, because I realized I was trying to run away from parents that, even though they were brilliant at me, I didn't feel I had freedom. And to me, the top value of my life is freedom, to be able to choose what I want to do.
Yes.
So this man was a way out. It meant that I could be the boss. Didn't quite work like that, but hey, at the
Karen,
time anyway,
do you think a
it's
lot of women feel they get themselves in that situation? They feel
oh
that, oh,
God,
I
yeah.
do not want to do this, but I have to do it. And I do not want to. And then they find themselves in this marriage that they don't even want to be in.
I personally think yes. From my own experience, I certainly would have been happy with the taxi driver offering to turn around. I'd have been happy saying yes.
Karen.
But there's this feeling of who's going to judge you if you dare to stand up and say no. There's also these feelings of guilt that all this money's been spent, all these arrangements, all these people are turning up to see you get married. And it's like, actually, folks, I don't
Did
want to.
you know
And it's,
before everybody paid for the wedding? Before your parents
mm,
paid for the wedding, you didn't know.
no, no.
Okay, what happened, Karen,
It
between
was almost as if something within me said, this is not going to work. I'd already started to see the warning signs that he was going to be quite controlling.
oh, you started seeing something?
I'd started to see them, but I hadn't really registered them. It wasn't something that I'd ever experienced. So it was like, okay, yeah, well, we're getting married. So what? Yeah, it'll be fine. I'll be able to do what I want to do, kind of thing.
Karen,
It did work like that, but more because he wasn't around more than anything, because he was out with his mate drinking most of the time.
you were bored. He left you alone a lot.
Mm-hmm. It
So
was
that's
nice.
when you noticed.
It was nice.
Well, that's probably how long did you stay married to him, Karen?
I married him, I stayed married with him for 16 years.
That's
Um,
why.
I
That helped.
basically, because I didn't want to lose everything I'd built up with being with him, despite the fact that I had to support him. I had built up a beautiful home.
What it,
And
what happened when after you got married to him? Was he violent towards you? Was he physically?
He wasn't physically violent. He was just very controlling, very domineering, very he criticized everything I did. He found fault with everything I did, despite the fact it was me supporting him. It was me doing all the housework, the DIY, the garden, everything. His whole life was being provided by me, but he wasn't happy with it.
And tell me, after this whole divorce ended, what happened, Karen? Where
But
did you find yourself again?
instead of giving myself a chance to recover, I become involved with a gentleman who told me he loved me, who made me feel special, who was exactly the same as my husband, but I didn't see it because I was still wanting to be loved. Like so many us women, we want to be loved, but don't know what love really is.
So what happened?
He was actually physically violent as well as emotionally abusive. He did drugs. He drank a lot. Again, he worked for himself, but I never saw any of the money. He would never do anything in the house. He would often be out doing what he wanted to do and just turn up when he felt like it. And that continued for 16 years as well.
Now, Karen, when he started being physically with you, violent, what what happened? How did that lead up to the violence? Because he wasn't always that way with you.
Yeah. It wasn't until we actually started living together that I realized quite how bad his drug problem was. But I'm sure you've heard of Jekyll and Hyde.
He what?
He was that kind of person when he had a drink.
What kind of
He was
person?
Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh,
It's this a
oh, yes,
doctor
yes.
that basically is lovely, and yeah, he was
As
Jekyll
soon
and
as he
Hyde.
had that drink, he just you saw the switch in his eyes.
Yeah,
But
yeah, and
how
that
long before? Okay, you moved in with him. Before you
no,
moved
he
in with
moved in
him,
with me. He moved in with me.
that's right. You know what? That's how it goes. Excuse
Yeah,
me.
yeah. Sweet talk.
I was giving him way too much, trying to give him too much
He
credit.
sweet talked me. Yeah, let's move in together.
Along with half the American women and all over the world outside of America, internationally,
Yeah,
the
we
drug
all did
addict,
it.
the abuser, right? The alcoholic, they move in with the woman, the sweet woman.
Mhm.
It's always the same story.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
never the her moving in with him, his life is together. Never that.
But if it was like that, we could move out again.
He was crazy. So he moved in with you.
Mhm.
That's when the abuse started because it didn't start before he moved in with you, Karen, correct? So
Mhm.
how long did it take before he moved in with you? Because you were dating
Probably a
him for how
couple of
many
weeks.
for how long?
Couple of weeks before he actually started to show his true side.
You dated him for 4 weeks, Karen?
Um, Near enough, yeah. He sweet talked me well and truly.
It wasn't years, Karen. 4 weeks you met this he moved in with you. And that's when it started, Karen. You didn't even know
Yeah.
him. And you stayed with
No,
him for how many years, Karen?
16.
A lot of women is do see that's the thing. A lot of women do this.
Mhm.
Well, I didn't do that, but We do a lot of women. That's, I've gotten in other situations. But the thing is that it happens just like that sometimes.
I think also so many women stay with men because we think we can improve the situation, but also they have a tendency to get you to doubt yourself so much. And if you've gone with somebody because you're looking for love, you then start doubting yourself anyway. How can I choose two men that tell me they love me and yet are behaving like this? So you then start to, well, you've gone beyond doubting. You literally believe you're not capable of being loved. And that's the sad thing about it.
Now, do you think you wasted years with them, or do you think that was just all of a learning experience?
I used to think I wasted years, but actually, because of the nature of how I work now and the women I work with, it was never a waste. I can put myself in women's situations where they have experienced abuse, they have experienced the trauma, and that helps them. I'm able to help them on that basis. So it's not wasted. It's just lots and lots of lessons I learnt along the way. Would have been better not to have gone through it, but it's what I learned. So, yes.
Yes, that makes sense. It's true. You learn from that. Those were all lessons. And because of that, you're able to reach back and help women because you went through that experience, not just reading and studying it in school. You went through it so you can identify, you can relate, and you can teach and you can build
Mm.
another woman up so she can move on, see herself
Yeah.
in a way that she never even saw herself before, tap into a place that she never even tapped in before so she can move on with her life bigger and better.
Mm. Mm.
Yes, absolutely. So 4 weeks. It started within 4 weeks with the violence, and it lasted for 16 years, Karen.
On and off, yes. Yes.
And he was an alcoholic, a drug addict, and a violent, outrageous person, a monster, because that's what they do. They switch.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, the alcohol and the drugs. Wow. And ooh, yes. You survived it.
I sure did.
You
And
ever tell anybody about it, Karen? Did you have friends?
no, not the violence, not the drugs, sometimes the alcohol. I mentioned the alcohol, but then everyone has a drink. So, it was sort of a comment rather than a complaint. But no, nobody knew about the violence, especially not the knives being pulled on me, and things like that. Nobody knew, or that, when I got a black eye and had to go to work, it was an excuse. Oh, it's all right. I just fell over. It's the usual thing that us women do, to protect ourselves from being judged, because people will say, well, why don't you leave him? It's not as simple as that. It really is not, especially when he's living in your house. It's never, ever as simple as people saying, well, just leave him. It's never that simple.
How did you finally leave him, Karen?
I realized one day that if he didn't go, I would probably land up killing him.
Yeah.
And I wasn't prepared to risk the rest of my life for him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good girl. I'm happy for you. After 50 years, you discovered that your parents, both of your parents, your mother and your father, never told you that they loved you. Tell us
No.
about that. Share with us.
I was actually on a call with a coach one day, and she said to me, what would you love most in your life? And just out of the blue, I come up with the comment, I would love to hear my parents tell me they love me and hug me.
Mm.
The thing about it is that it taken me 50 years to realize it wasn't normal for my parents not to tell me that they loved me. But I don't blame them for that, because that's what they experienced. So if they don't know any better, how can they do any better with me? And why would I question it if it was an everyday thing?
Yeah, you know. But the
No.
story makes sense of everything that you experienced and went through looking for love.
Yeah.
So it was another lesson. And no, it's so many people in this world from their parents, they've never been told that they love them. The child have
Mm-hmm.
never been told by their parents that they love them. It's no, it's and
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, it's not rare.
No, no. But it has a huge impact on that child's life.
It has a tremendous, huge impact.
Mm.
Yes, you are absolutely right.
Because
It's,
we are basically all supposed to be loved by our parents,
yes,
whether it's physically being held, whether it's being nurtured and supported, or whether it's actual words. It does not matter. All of it is important to a child. And if you don't hear it, it has an impact. If you don't feel it, it has an impact.
yeah, it does. Whoever's taking care of you, they have to tell you that they love you.
Mm.
I was always told that's why I have a great life. That's why I think I'm happy every day of my life because my parents loved me so much. I was like, I didn't care. They just loved me. They were so
Mm.
nice to me, my parents. And they told me all the time, I love you. Like just that I love. And I'm like, I know. You just know,
Mm.
because of them telling you that. And so you
Yeah.
give back to your children that way. But
Yeah.
it comes is if it's generational, then it's generational and it must end.
Yeah. If a woman chooses to deal with the emotions that come from feeling unloved, the trauma that comes with it, she changes her life, but she changes future generations as well, because she will then tell her own children, I love you. And that makes, well, that makes for a better world for everyone.
Yes. And you didn't have children, correct, Karen?
No, I haven't got children. No, never wanted them. Lucky for them.
No. You've been a great mom. But yeah, I know
Thank
that
you.
you would have broke it. You would have told him, I love you. You would have did
Yeah.
so good. Oh yeah. So that right there, that took I think that because of that, right, it did affect it affected your adulthood. It really did.
Mm,
Because of
yeah.
the decisions. It played a part in there somewhere. But that's
Oh
okay
yeah.
because you found yourself.
Yeah. I
I
love
love
myself totally.
Can you tell us about how your life is today and how you came to be who you are today?
Well, when I left, or rather, when I managed to finish my last relationship, it was a case of why? Why am I experiencing this? Why is this all happening to me? So I chose to start exploring personal development. I chose to start getting to know myself. And it, as I say, then this realization that my parents had never told me they loved me, that had a huge light bulb moment of that made total sense, because I went looking for love. And the realization that love has to come from within made such a big difference.
Yes.
Not external. It doesn't matter. Yes, my parents should have told me or could have told me, but actually love has to come from within yourself. You have to accept yourself as you are. Mistakes, everything you do wrong, whether it's wrong or not, it does not matter. It's what you feel about yourself that matters.
Yeah.
And I learned that. I learned that I needed to love and respect myself.
So what do you do today?
So I work with women predominantly to help them learn to love themselves, to accept that they can be this unique woman, powerful woman who deserves the best.
I love that.
Mm.
That is absolutely wonderful. And how can our audience contact you?
Um, I've got a website called The Manifesting Lady because that's what I help women achieve, manifesting the life they love. I've also on Facebook with Karen A. Bashford, and I'm also on LinkedIn as Karen Bashford.
All right. And I'm so happy that you came on to share your story with us. Do you want to tell us about your book?
Yes, How to Be Imperfectly Perfect, a practical spiritual guide to becoming you. And it's my story of how I discovered who I was, how I worked through all the challenges that I'd been through, understanding that you have to forgive yourself and the other people that have harmed you. You need to know your boundaries, you need to know your values, and that actually your health is a reflection of what you believe about yourself.
Yes.
Because I went through 3 traumatic illnesses because my body was constantly trying to tell me there was something wrong, and I chose not to listen.
Yes. But you did. You finally had to make that
Yeah.
decision and listen, Karen. You had to. That's why you're here doing what you do today and giving
Yeah.
back and helping
Mm-hmm.
women become stronger,
Mm-hmm.
calmer, happier,
Yeah.
and to live a life that they would like to live for themselves.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. We're not here to live the life of somebody else. We're here to live our lives.
Yes. I love what you do. I'm
Thank
so happy that you serve the world in that way and coach and teach and give life, speak life within them and to them so that they know that they're great because they're special and have greatness within them. And no matter what you've been through in life, all the trials and the tribulations of life that you've experienced, that you've encountered, that you can overcome it, that you can pass through that. You can pass through that. You can get over that. You can overcome that. But you have to want to do that. You have to want to do it for yourself. She came out of a very bad relationships, 2 of them, not just one, but 2 for not just a couple of years, but 16 years, both. And now she made a decision to live her life. That's amazing. And now she's here to give back, to show you the way and teach you the way and give you the information. Because that's what we need is the information, right? You changed your life.
Definitely.
Why did you change your life? Because you changed your life through self-help,
Mm-hmm.
self-development. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
she stands for, and that's what she does. And she's a coach, and you can reach out to Karen so that you can be happy and live a calmer life. And say yes to yourself because it's all about saying yes to ourselves, Karen, right?
Certainly is. If you don't say yes to you, who's going to say yes to you?
Who's going to do that?
Precisely. You've got to say yes to yourself.
And you teach about financial, you teach women on how to be a better version of themselves on the internet, online, and how to make money
Yeah.
to
I
start their own
teach them,
business, right? They can start their own business, their own coaching business.
yeah, they can choose the life that they want because they have that confidence and understanding that they are powerful within themselves. And that includes understanding money, understanding relationships, Understanding that you are responsible for your life, nobody else's, only yours.
Yes. And how great is that? I mean, what much more can you ask for? That's really good. And then you get to sell off and live a life that you can only imagine living, because it
Mhm.
starts in the thought, right? It starts here in the mind, and then whatever you want becomes your reality. You have to want it and do the
Yeah.
work, put the work in. Say no to all the things that does not suit you mentally and physically. Say
Mhm.
no to all of the things that are destroying your mind, destroying you. Say no to that and say yes to life. Say yes to the things that you can have. Say yes to the life that you would love to live, so that you can be happy and look beautiful. Look at Karen. Karen said her body was telling her she was sick. She was upset. Now look at her, looking like so young and fresh. That's how you want to live. So be happy. I'm going to leave you with a poem by Douglas Maylock. It's called It's Fine Today. All right, Karen. Sure, this world is full of trouble. I ain't said it ain't. Lord knows I've had enough and double reason for complaints. Rain and storm have come to fret me, skies are often gray. Thorns and brambles have come to beset me on the road, but say, ain't it fine today? What's the use in always weeping, making trouble last? What's the use in always keeping thinking of the past? Each must have his tribulations, water with his wine, life. It ain't no celebration, trouble. I've had mine, but today is fine. It's today that I'm living, not a month ago. Having, losing, taking, giving. It's time wills it so. Yesterday, a cloud of sorrow fell across the way. It may rain again tomorrow. It may rain, but say, ain't it fine today? Karen, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure having you. Is there anything you would like to say?
Well, thank you for having me. But to all the women, men, and children out there, believe in yourself. It's the best thing you can do in your life is just believe in you.
Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you for
Thank
joining us.
you.
So please reach out to Karen and she will make sure you are doing well. Thank you so much for your time and what you do for the world and serving us. Enjoy. Talk to you
Thank
soon.
you.
You're welcome. Talk.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Enjoy.